lives are great. Something I never heard my radio say. Black lives are precious, black lives are great. Something I never see my TV say. But since I know you never heard it.
What's up, everybody? It's the Love First podcast. We actually have a very special returning guest, Mr. Steve. We want to get your thoughts on the current vaccine that is out for distribution. First off, how you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing okay, catered on. Thanks for asking. You know?
Yes, we're glad to have you back on here.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah.
You are a Republican journalist, so we want to get different sides and different opinions on your view of this vaccine that is currently out. Now let's start off. Have you received the vaccine?
I haven't gotten the vaccine yet. No.
Okay, and are you interested in getting the vaccine? If so, why or why not?
I'm interested in getting it. I just want to wait till more people have taken it, until they have a wider spectrum of people that they can explore any side effects that they're not aware of right now, because people haven't taken it for that long. So I'm more on the cautious side, even though I'm happy these vaccines are out there, and President Trump should get credit for it with the Operation Warp Speed, where he got companies to be more focused and he cut a lot of red tape to get it out there. Having said that, because it takes usually a lot longer for vaccines to be approved, I'm a little bit more on the cautious side. I thank everyone who's taking it, but let's be honest, they're human guinea pigs for the pharmaceutical industry to see that it's going to be safe for the long haul.
Yeah. So that is interesting, because yes, President Trump, he was leading the Warp Speed program that got the vaccine out. Now, statistics are showing about 50% of Republicans are skeptical about the vaccine, you know, because they're not sure of the side effects. But Trump has gotten the vaccine already. Does that give you any confidence in the vaccine, because he got it already?
Certainly the fact that he got it, and I tend to trust his instincts on these things, it carries some weight. But just because he took it and is promoting it doesn't mean it's unfair to have concerns in general how soon it's out there and that it hasn't been in the general population long enough. Thankfully, it seems for the most part that people are tolerating it. What troubles me, Kwame and Rafe, and where I think you get a lot of the Republicans questioning it, it's not about the vaccine as much as it is the big tech censorship about discussing any questions about the vaccine, any issues that people have had that is maybe not so bright and glorious. So I think if there was a more open discussion without Twitter banning people, or YouTube actually banned discussions with some of the top doctors in the country where they raise some questions about it. So if you can't talk honestly about something as important as this, it raises more questions, it causes more problems, and it would be great if people realize it. So it's about censorship, about the whole issue of vaccines that is turning a lot of conservatives off, I would say.
Do you feel like the fact that people are not aware of like how many side effects it has and that it's still unknown is what's prohibiting a lot of Republicans from not taking the vaccine?
There's not enough open discussion about it, Rafe, and that's the problem. Some people say Tylenol has more potential dangerous side effects than the vaccine. Well, if that's true, then great. I mean, I know someone quite young who took the vaccine and had a bad reaction to it and ended up needing to go in the hospital. They survived, and I don't want to say that to discourage people from taking the vaccine.
Yeah.
Look, there were 6 reported blood clots because of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and they stopped distribution of it. So in a way that's good, in a way that's bad. It's good in the fact it shows the government is serious that if there's a potential problem, they stop it. And if it's 6 out of who knows how many millions, that shows that there's extra care there. I do question the politics involved. I don't like that these companies, Pfizer and Moderna, announced their vaccine after the election as opposed to before, where maybe Trump could have celebrated it and it might have benefited him. So there is politics here. But I think we just need, for me, I would like more time and more open discussion so people can have an honest assessment of it for themselves.
Yeah. Okay. So, so just in general, do you take like flu vaccines on the regular? So is it just the time frame that the way this comes out, or are you a person that gets the flu vaccines, or you kind of stay away from those types of things?
I stay away from the flu vaccine too. Again, my doctor keeps saying, you get it. Doctors love, for the most part, to say, take it, get it. I went to my doctor to do a corona test and an antibody test, and he's really pushing the vaccine. It wasn't yet available for me, but he's just a supporter of it. But no, I don't get the flu vaccine. I don't want to take anything that I don't think I need. And that's what it comes down to. And what's annoying about the flu vaccine, and it's sort of similar you're seeing with the corona vaccine, they need to change it every year with different variants. And so you'd love to, when we were kids, right, we took the polio vaccine and it was great. It was like a miracle. But here, it's always getting boosters, new variants. And even with the Pfizer vaccine, they say you're probably going to need a 3rd shot and then maybe an annual shot as well. So I just want more time. A part of me that's a cynic wonders, oh, they want boosters now every year, so that's more money for their industry. Is this what they had in mind? Is this their preference? So it's just, I want things to just have a little more time. This is before your time and really mine. But in the late 50s and early 60s, there was a drug called thalidomide, and that was to deal with mostly women who had who felt nauseous or dizzy, who didn't feel well when they were pregnant, and they took this drug to help the morning sickness. And only after time did they realize children that were born who took this drug were missing some limbs or had shortened limbs or had flappy limbs. This was from the late 50s to the early 60s. I think in 1962, it was banned. So we have to be careful. Again, this looks for the most part good. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just, for my own well-being, would like to have more time. And I'm grateful for people who trust it and are just going for it, because the more people who take it, the more the researchers can assess any issues and maybe change a few things if possible. Like even with Johnson & Johnson, maybe the fact that they paused dispensing them for now, maybe it'll lead to them tweaking something or at least giving more info. So if they see people with this issue in their health record are more at risk to get blood clots, so then the doctors know someone's medical history to keep an eye out for something. I think all that's important.
Okay, so I just got 2 more questions for you, then I'll let Rafe end it off with a question.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about the fact that it's actually becoming mandatory to get a vaccine or at least a test to not only travel but to even enter into certain venues, and some are even implementing passports. How do you feel about that?
I hate that. I think it's eliminating people's rights and freedoms. I understand everyone wants to be more careful or concerned. So all of a sudden masks are not good enough, right? That they're pushing the mask, and now they want to force you to take a medicine, which maybe in an individual case, a vaccine can be proven not to be good for that person. So will medical waivers then be accepted by certain airlines or businesses? So the government may not mandate it, but when all these corporations or travel companies require it, it doesn't matter what the government mandates or not. So I don't like it. It curtails the freedom of people who may have issues or fears or individual health problems, and specifically, again, for a medicine that has just been out for several months. I think it's not right.
Okay. So now I also have a question, because I know a lot of Republicans do feel maybe necessarily Trump isn't getting his just due as far as bringing the vaccine forward. But I do want to ask you, do you feel like Joe Biden has accomplished a lot by making sure vaccines are getting distributed and making it mandatory earlier than May for the states, and actually beating the goal that he set out in January that he laid out?
Oh, first, let me say it's very difficult for me to give Biden any credit for anything, because I think he's destroying the country. So I have to say that flat out. And I don't think he's in charge of anything that goes on in the government. I think he's a puppet. So that must be said. I don't think he's all up there, and I think he's divisive and hateful. And his speech during the inauguration that claimed unity, that lasted 5 seconds, and then he's all being divisive. And I don't think he gave President Trump enough credit for the vaccines. He said, oh, there was nothing happening until I came in and did it. So I think he's continued the program that President Trump has started. And other than that, fine, I don't give him credit. I'll give the mechanisms of government continuing what President Trump started to continue it going, because President Trump arranged the agreements with the drug companies, and he also made arrangement with the pharmacies to dispense them. I frankly don't know what Biden has done, and he goes on. He likes to virtue signal and wear a mask so you don't see his face. Remember, he got vaccinated too, right? And he's 6 feet away from people. So he just wants to make a show every time he speaks about something. So has his administration continued what President Trump started? Yeah. And so good for him. But if you look, everything that he does that reverses what Trump has done has been catastrophic. Just look at the southern border. I know that's another topic.
Yes, we'll have you back on. We definitely want to get you back on to discuss that.
Yeah. So thank you, President Biden, for continuing what Trump started for you. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, whichever one you prefer.
So I also wanted to ask you about, as far as like the distrust in the vaccine. Do you feel like it's higher in other countries?
The distrust. I don't seem to see it. I mean, what's interesting, like in Europe, AstraZeneca was their main vaccine, and that vaccine was also causing a lot of blood clotting with people, and they paused distribution of that as well. I think they might be looking more to get the American vaccines, because it seems overall to have had more effective results. So I don't sense other countries questioning the vaccine as much. In fact, I see Europe being the ones wanting to control and mandating it maybe more than in this country. Though, again, the corporations in this country seem to be more globalist and like Europe. So I think they're more pro-vaccine than here, actually.
Okay. Well, great. I mean, it's always a pleasure having you on the podcast and getting your perspective. We definitely want to bring you back to get your view on the border, among some other things too as well.
If we still have a country, right?
Lovely, man. We thank you for your time today, Steve.
Thank you, Kwame,
thank
and
you.
thank you, Rafe. Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right. Yes, and everybody, it's back on the Love First podcast. We have a very special guest with us returning to the podcast. We have Ms. Sandra, who is also a Democrat. So we want to get her views
Yes.
on the vaccine that is going on right now. Let's start off. How you doing, Ms. Sandra?
Hi, Kwame. Oh, Kwame, K to Don. I'm sorry. You know, I know you besides behind K to Don. And Rafe, how you doing?
Doing good. How you
Okay.
doing?
Okay. What's the question you have for me?
Yeah, so we want to start off by knowing, did you get a vaccine? And if you did, can you kind of explain that process?
I most certainly did get a vaccine, and the process was actually in the beginning it was kind of difficult because you had to call up these health services like here in North Carolina. In Charlotte, we have Atrium and Tryon Medical. And so you keep trying to call them on the phone or get online. And I had a hard time getting an appointment. And then finally, when I did get through, the appointment was 3 months away. And I had to travel a distance for it, which I didn't find very convenient. I would much rather get someplace where I get to within 15, 30 minutes. So what I did do is I got a tip to go to this health center that really was only 15 minutes away. And when I went there, as soon as I drove up, the guy came out and he says, "Do you have an appointment?" And I said, "No, but I'd like to make one." And he says, "Okay," took down my name and my date of birth. And I had a friend with me who lives at the block. Her name is Sandra too. And he took, and we're about the same age, you know, mature women. I won't give my age over the air. It's not necessary. What are you laughing about, Rafe? Anyway, so you want to know what was so amazing about this? The very next day, I got a call and asked me to come in 3 hours later. And could I come in? I said, yes. I said, I had a friend that came with me as well. I said, could you call her? And she said, I'm just about ready to call her right now. And they never got through to Sandra, but I wound up calling. I said, Sandra, you better come on. I'm getting this shot. Because if you don't get it, if you're not going to wake up or whatever, I'm going by myself. Although I was a little afraid to go by myself, but I really felt like that was the best thing to do. Because I figured, and I went and I got the shot. The nurse was very nice. They put both of us in a room together because I finally got through to Sandra. And she gave me the shot. And then they put you in a room. You wait 10 or 15 minutes to see whether you have any kind of reaction. There was no reaction. So they said, okay, you look good. So go on. If you have any issues, just call us back. And the next shot, the second shot was 3 weeks later. Went to the same facility and got the shot. And what was funny is I heard that people were having a reaction with the second shot. By the way, the shot that I got was Pfizer, okay? Because you may want to be alerted to the Moderna and the Pfizer were the first two that came out. And they're right now, they're not having any issues with them. So I think that's a good chance to take on taking those two. The other two, well, they have rare cases of issues. But I would, if I was going someplace, I'd ask them whether this is the Moderna or the Pfizer. I'd ask them what they're giving you. And you might want to think twice if it's not one of those.
I just have a quick question, right? Because you do hear like a lot of stories and a lot of cases of like people like sort of like the symptoms that come with the vaccine. And I guess like doctors are still trying to figure out because a lot of symptoms are still unknown. So like even with these things, do you still feel like everybody should take this vaccine or it should be a choice thing?
Well, obviously it should be a choice. You have the right to make a choice.
Yeah.
But if you're a mature person like myself at this age, especially if you have a few ailments, I would think that you should think right away, let me take it, because what the interesting thing about this this virus is it is deadly. It's deadly. Right. The people that survive it fairly well are the young people. They may not get it, or the young people may be asymptomatic and they may be giving it to other people, but they don't seem to die from it. Very few cases of young people. So I would say that if you're 40 and older, you should really be thinking about seriously taking it. And right now in North Carolina, they're giving it to people 16 years and older. Are they doing the same thing in New York?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes.
all right. I think it's worth it to take it because I don't want to get knocked out with any deadly disease because the horrible thing about this virus too is that it's a respiratory thing. You ever had a feeling where you can't breathe, like
Yeah.
people with asthma and the air is being cut off? That's horrible. And that's why they had to put so many of those people on ventilators. I don't know what the percentage of people that survived the ventilators, but a lot of people didn't come off those ventilators. Or when they came off, they were dead. They were
Yeah.
gone. So you want to give yourself a fighting chance, and you don't want to wait till you get something you got to worry about fighting it off. But I mean, again, it's your choice. And if you're not going to take it, I suggest you pray to God daily. And if you take it, I would pray to God daily, as I do. Really, when I was so happy to get the vaccine, when they called me the next day, I was jumping up and down. And I said, oh God, please help me please help me that this is the right decision. This is the right vaccine, and it's going to help me, because we really don't know. Nothing is guaranteed. So you really don't know. But the Moderna and the Pfizer have been the best so far. And then the J&J, they're having issues with it now. And then that other thing, what is that other thing? Acid-centric or something. In Europe, they had that. And really, I would tell them not to bring that over here, because you really don't need to. And they're saying, oh, it's only rare cases of people dying with blood clots to the brain. They've had one death because of the vaccine. Very rare. But we don't know, are we going to be that rare one? We don't know. We all have different blood types and different body makeups. So it's this
okay. But overall, you're still confident in the vaccines, even though they have paused certain vaccines because of the side effects. You're still confident in them?
Well, listen, as confident as I can be. First of all, let me tell you something. I'm crazy about Dr. Fauci, okay? He's a scientist, he's a doctor, he's a New Yorker, Brooklyn born. I trust him, okay? Now, he's not God, but when you take in all the facts and all the information you hear, we still have to use our good senses and say, well, wait a minute, it's weighing more on should I take it or not take it? And what's the benefit of me taking it? And what's the benefit of me not taking it? Is there a benefit? So it's a risk you take. It's a risk you take. It's a risk. But I would think
is that the reason why you feel like so many people are hesitant to take it? Because of that deciding factor in their head?
Because they haven't, wait a minute. I'll tell you something. Some people, have you ever heard of the, what is it? The Tuskegee men? These were men that were in prison and they had syphilis. This is a venereal disease that kills you. And you got a lot of Black folks that don't want to take it for that reason, because they promised these men, you'll get out of prison, you'll be released early. We're going to treat you for this syphilis. And what these doctors did, these rotten doctors, did not treat them. And so the only ones that have survived on their own, whatever their immune system was able to deal with, and the others died. And so I heard they made some kind of joke on Saturday Night Live. I didn't see it, where they showed this Black actor who played in Getting Out. He's African. Can't recall his name, but anyway, he was playing a doctor on Saturday Night Live, and he was telling these people, look, why won't you get it? They said, oh, it's the Tuskegee. And I didn't even see this, but I heard about it, but I heard about Tuskegee. And then he said, well, suppose I give you $10,000. Would you take it, each of you $10,000? I said, well, that sounds good. But they said, nah. I said, why not? And they said, Tuskegee. Then he finally offered them $20,000. So the people said, oh God, I could buy a car, but that would be nice. And then finally they said, nah. He said, why? Why won't you take it? And the people said, Tuskegee. That stayed with them. And any older person knows the story about Tuskegee. And any of you guys, if you read it in history, you'll know that was a deadly thing. And that's why people don't want to be experimented on. At least I don't want to be. I'm always amazed when these people do experimental things, and at one group, they have a control group who takes the new medication and the other group gets the placebo. Now, if I was experimenting, I really would not want to take the placebo. Why waste my time with that? If I want to see the effect of something, I don't want the placebo. I want the experimental medicine or medication to see whether it improves things for me, or don't take it at all. But some people are willing to go through the experiment because what is it? They're helping science and they're helping other people, so that's why they do it. I don't know that I'm that good that I would extend myself to have somebody experiment with me just for the sake of it, unless I knew I was getting the real thing, the real medication.
Okay. So, so there is a perception, I guess I would say, from a Republican perspective that Democrats don't really give former President Trump enough credit for getting the vaccines out in this time period. So as far as the way the vaccines go, do you give former President Trump credit for the vaccines that we have today?
Oh, I could give him some credit, yes, but I again, we learned so much about how he handled it and how the COVID virus was very serious, and he was told early on back in December, and he said, "Oh, this will go away. This too will die down." He played it down, and it could be he didn't want to get people excited, but then he should have been much more forceful and aggressive about getting the medication out there, getting the vaccines out there that he would be ready to give people. So he may have started it, and he's supposed to do that. He's the president of the United States. So yes, I give him a little credit, but I don't give him credit for the way he handled things and the fact that he was slow to go out there. And also I don't give him credit for all those meetings he had in the garden at the White House and those people that weren't even masked. And he wasn't masked. And look what happened to him. He wound up getting a virus. Okay. He recovered from it. I don't know what special medication they gave him because he recovered from it very quickly. Maybe there's different levels of the virus you can have, but I'll give him a little credit. I'm not going to give him a whole lot of credit because I didn't feel like he cared about people enough. And the bad thing about it, they're trying to get him to do commercials now for the Republicans so that he can encourage the Republicans to take the vaccine. Because a lot of Republicans are waiting for Donald Trump to say, get the vaccine. It's like they don't have their own minds. That's a horrible thing. God has gifted us with our own minds and bodies. And if you don't use it and you let somebody else use it, that's a waste. What's good of having a mind if you let someone else do your thinking for you? Now, and the Republicans are pretty bad at that, but Donald Trump holds a very strong position with them, but he's not the president of choice. He does not show the leadership quality that he should have. I could talk about, what was it, January 6th and the running of the Capitol. That was horrible. He incited something that was so obvious. And the Republicans knew that. Some of them could admit it. Some of them will admit it behind the scene because they want to keep those Trump supporters coming in there. They want that money coming in there. They want to fill those seats in the Senate. It's about money with them, the greed and money.
So what would be your message to, because the statistics do show about 50% of Republicans are not really willing to take this vaccine. So to the Republicans or conservatives that are on the fence, what would be your message to them about the vaccine?
Well, simply use your own mind. If you're intelligent, what are the odds? Just if you have to do a pro and con list, isn't it better for you to get the vaccine? Is it going to hurt to get the vaccine? Why wouldn't you get the vaccine? Because you think it's going to hurt you, kill you? But one thing for sure we know is that COVID has killed, was it like 300,000 people? Okay. Now that's a fact. That's on record. And people are still dying with it because they have these variances going out. So I don't know, even with us getting the vaccine, who knows? Maybe in 6 months, we might have to get a booster shot. Now, I got to tell you, I am annoyed at that. And also I'm annoyed if I would have to get this vaccine every year. But we will do what we have to do if we want to be around, okay? And We want to last, and we don't want to die like that. My God, there's a gazillion ways to die. Who wants to die with something like that, with COVID virus? And it's looks like a very lousy death. Be on a ventilator.
So I just have 2 more questions for you. Then I'm gonna let Ray end it with the last question.
Okay.
So my next question would be, what is your view on the fact that it's starting to become mandatory to get the vaccine, or at least the test, to not only travel but to even enter certain venues? And a lot of people are starting to implement the passport. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel in terms of traveling, as far as tests, if you're going to travel, you're going to other countries, and other people come from other countries. People come from Europe here with the variances, and then start this whole pandemic over again. I think, it should be a requirement for you to get the test. And then if you have it, I can understand that. You can say, wait a minute, you shouldn't travel, because you can spread this whole thing all over again in another country. And it's not fair. People have to stop being so selfish and just thinking about themselves, and think about other people, care about other people. If you don't care about yourself, that's one thing, but not caring about others, that's terrible. Remember that doctor? I think he was Korean. This was back in December. I don't know what but he was a doctor. They only had him on TV twice that I could see. He came on, he couldn't hardly breathe. He said, oh, I got to tell you, this virus, this is a pandemic. You've got to be careful. You've got to be careful. They've got to do something about this. Okay. And what happened to that man? After seeing him on TV twice for about a few weeks, he was off. He died. Okay. And somebody said that he was killed because they didn't like the fact that he was spreading this kind of news. That could very well be. You don't know what people are doing or why they're doing it, but they will cover up things. Just like the former president, Trump, he tried to cover up how serious this thing was. And then everything broke loose. Yes. You have another question?
So my last question before I pass it to Ray, is how do you feel Joe Biden's administration is handling the vaccine since they've taken over?
Well, I'm going to just tell you, I am going to applaud him. He's been very good. He set a precedence. He said, I'm going to do this in so many days. Now, we can't always fulfill our promises like we want to. I think he's right on time, if not very close. First of all, he put together, let me just say one thing, he put together a very beautiful, diversified cabinet, probably the most diversified cabinet in history that we're aware of. And so you're going to get different views, you're going to get different inputs, and you're going to know how a lot of people feel, not just 1 or 2 people. So, yeah, I think Biden is doing okay. I'm definitely going to give him a B+ to an A. Yeah. He cares about people. That's the one thing about him. This man has feelings. Okay, Rafe, you have something for me?
Oh, no, I'm good. I think you answered everything.
You pretty much covered all.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pretty much covered all the bases with the questions. We do thank you for your time. We would love to have you back on the podcast soon. There's
anytime.
a lot of current events and things going on. So, Ms. Sandra, thank you again for your time.
Oh, well, thank you guys. You're so beautiful. You really are. And I love the fact that you cover current events and you stay on top of things. So sweet.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Love you for being so good. Rafe and Katie Don, thank you so much. And I'll be glad to come on again.
Let's do it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
What up, everyone? If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell for the latest podcasts, music videos, and comedy skits. We got a lot more content coming your way.
We here all day, baby.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the channel, baby.
Yeah, we gotta show love first like a podcast. Put the work in, trying to make it last.